Hi, this is Randy Kirk, and today we are going to be talking about BYD. And you are going to be hearing a lot more about BYD. You have undoubtedly heard a little bit here and there. Maybe you've even heard a lot. Maybe you've been following them. Maybe you've been checking out their cars, such as we can, since they don't sell any of their cars in the United States. But maybe you've at least been following them as a potential competitor to Tesla. Maybe you've been following them as at least a leader in BEV cars and potentially as passing Tesla this year as the number one maker of BEV vehicles. So, or is that redundant? BEV vehicles. Anyway, of BEV automobiles. So let's take a look at it. If this is the kind of content that makes you happy and gets you going and gets you more interested and gets you to dive deeper, and maybe even want to invest in BEV. Who knows? You wouldn't be the first to put a little bit aside into BEV instead of just Tesla. So you know how to like, you know how to subscribe, and of course, I'd love to have you join in my Patreon group. We're going to have a lot of fun over there. I noticed that I put up a 2023 my estimates for next year, and I've made that live so that other people can come in and put their numbers into. So that's kind of fun. Maybe that's something you'd like to do as well. Anyway, it's only $5 a month. You know how to do it. All right, let's talk about BYD. Their 22 sales numbers cannot be ignored. They sold 911,104 battery electric vehicles this year. In fact, they sold more electric vehicles, if you count hybrids, than Tesla did in 2022. I don't count hybrids. I'm sure you don't count hybrids as electric vehicles. But the reality is they did sell more than Tesla overall between those two in 2022. Now, that was a 184% increase in their BEV sales from the prior year. So, that's Tesla-like growth, right? Of course, Tesla grew about 4%, something like that in 2022, but they had grown 84% the prior year, and they'll probably grow, as you know, my thinking. If you follow this channel, you know that I think that the growth this year will be in the 80s. So, but anyway, they did almost double their sales last year in 2022 over 2021. And there's every reason to believe that they will continue to grow at this kind of rate. BYD offers quite a few models under 35,000. They're a Chinese company. They manufacture their vehicles primarily in China, although they are now, I think, opening factories really kind of around the world. I think if I remember correct, Thailand is one of them. I think they're opening one in India. But without the details, you can look those details up, or possibly I'll cover those in another video. But they are opening up factories around the world. They intend to be a major player in this space. Now, what space do they want to be a major player in? Primarily in that lower end category. Yes, they are making some cars that they intend to or hope to compete with Tesla in those categories, but most of their cars are being made in these less expensive product ranges. So I guess they want to be the Samsung to Tesla's Apple, which is fine. Tesla is not in that category yet. They're not really pushing that category yet. And that is the smart way for any business to operate in that circumstance, is to niche themselves where the leader is not going. Now, maybe we all hope Tesla is going to go and shoot for something in that $25,000 range. But as of the moment, they're not going there. So they're very aggressive. But in some ways, even though they're aggressive and they're really good at executing, they'll remind you more of some of the old style auto companies in that they are expanding rapidly across the globe. They are building multiple different models and sizes and types and, all at once. So now they have small run rates for each of these vehicles. And then they have small run rates in their factories for each of these vehicles, and because they're opening new factories. So in some ways, you might be more reminded of a General Motors or a Volkswagen or something like that, who thinks they need a whole bunch of models in order to in order to manage their to gain sales over time. Of course, Tesla has proven the opposite, that you could do it all with 4 models. And obviously, we think they'll have a few more coming up, but it's not going to be 20 or 30 models like it appears that BEV is headed towards. And it's not going to be lots of options on each model where it reduces your efficiency in the factory. So one model may work and the other model, they may work, their model may work just as well going forward. Now their car margins are more in the 13, 14% range as opposed to the 27, 28, 30% range that Tesla has been able to prove they can do. So that's an issue long term, but they are profitable as a company. Or as a car company. Now they do all kinds of other things. They were, I don't know if they still are, they were at least at one time the largest overall lithium battery manufacturer in the world, supplying all kinds of uses for that. And they also make other larger vehicles like buses and whatnot, electric buses. And they are also, up until last year, they were in the ICE car business. They were making lots and lots of inexpensive internal combustion engine cars as well. So they've discontinued all of that activity as of last year, and they're concentrating on hybrids and battery electric vehicles. So they are aggressively going after that slot. They are the opposite of Toyota and Honda and some of the others who think that it's not going to be all electric. They are 100% convinced it's going to be all electric, and they want to be in the lead on that. Their cars are generally well received. If you follow the Electric Viking, I consider him to be kind of the top expert on YouTube, maybe anywhere, in terms of looking at all of the models as quickly as they come out. He's a car guy, and he's really done a tremendous amount of work in the car field his entire life. And so he likes to look at them as best he can. He buys as many as he can down there in Australia as they become available in Australia, or drives them around if he can. So I do trust him, or respect him at least, with regard to some of his analysis of the various kinds of cars. BYD is making some decent BEVs. All right, keep all of our three-letter words consistent here. Okay, the founder is a guy by the name of Wang Chuanfu. And I looked that up, and that is pretty much how you pronounce it. Obviously, depending on what part of the world you're in, but that's roughly how you pronounce it. He's had a very successful career. He started out as a poor farmer, went to college, spent a few years in public service, working for the government, and then started a factory and has grown to be, I think he's currently the 14th wealthiest person in China, and one of the most successful enterprises in China. And Warren Buffett is one of his investors, has invested heavily in the company, although he has been slowly but surely reducing his percentage of his investment there. He's been selling some shares pretty regularly. Now, there's nothing to say that he's lost confidence in them. He still owns, I'm throwing out a number here, I could be completely wrong. I think it's around 14%. So it's not a small piece of the pie, but he has been reducing his percentage ownership there. So don't know why that is. He hasn't mentioned why. Okay. So anyway, this guy has been talked about. This Wang Chuanfu has been talked about as being an Elon Musk type of person. His degree is in chemistry. He obviously has the ability to execute, and that's one of the things we all love about Elon. And so he's executing extremely well, both in terms of the quality as well as the ramp. And so that's where we see this fellow at this time. Anyway, I don't see BYD as a threat to Tesla. They are definitely niching themselves away from Tesla's current product line, besides which there is not going to be any shortage of demand for electric vehicles for at least 5, 6, 7 years. Now, there's going to come a time, there's a lot of things that could very easily change and radically disrupt or change how we even think about cars if Tesla is successful at getting the full self-driving, another three-letter word, right? Getting their FSD working, actually getting robotaxis on the road, everything could change. And BYD is they're shooting for that market as well. They're looking for ways to be involved in full self-driving vehicles too. But in general, if FSD doesn't happen this year, the next year, if we're still 3 or 4 years away from that, then these two are going to be on the same stage. And I think they're going to be the two leaders. I think that they're going to roughly be making about the same number of cars. BYD may make more battery electric vehicles than Tesla at some point, maybe even this year, but maybe the next year. It doesn't matter. What matters is if both companies sell every car they make, then who cares which one sells 5 million or which one sells 6? In the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. There needs to be 60 million cars made in order to completely get rid of ICE. And maybe 80 million is, the number of cars sold in many, many years. Sometimes it goes higher than 80 million, but my number is kind of 60, 65 million. That'll be the point at which ICE is dead. There might be some ICE cars still being made, but they're basically dead at that point. So I see BYD and Tesla as being the major leaders, niching in terms of the countries that they're selling in, niching in terms of the price points that they're doing, niching in terms of the functionality of the vehicles that they're creating. And I see that these two will be dominant players. They will be the Toyota and Volkswagen in 3 or 4 years in terms of total unit sales, as Toyota and Volkswagen's numbers drop off dramatically. So I think, let's see, the people that should be concerned about BYD would not be Tesla. They would be Toyota, Honda, and the rest of GM. And we're going to talk about that at some point in the future. I'm actually beginning a series right now where I'll be talking about some of these other car companies, especially at first, I'm going to talk about the ones who are making battery electric vehicles. I want to compare and contrast and talk about what their own statements have been about their builds, their plans, as well as any products they currently have in the market, what the quality is, kind of what I've just done with BYD. So if you didn't pick up on it, I'm a BYD fan. I am not invested in BYD. Warren Buffett, you can have your 14%. And for now, I'm not going to get involved, but maybe there'll come a day when that would be a really good investment. So if you like the content, if you'd like to subscribe. That really helps the channel so much. You can't imagine how much it helps if you subscribe. And then join Patreon. And as usual, I want to say it's been great talking to you.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.